So please,
Muted.
you're mentoring, and if you have any question,
Unmuted.
you
So it's
call.
been okay. So today I'm going to mentoring also Asif mentoring, right?
Mhm.
All right, no problem. Thank you.
Who's Asif? What's his name? First name?
Uh, Asif,
Oh, Asif Rani.
Asif Irani, I think so. Yeah, I texted him, but he didn't reply. I don't know what's going on with him. Yeah, Asif came right now. All right, not a problem.
I
So,
made him. I made him organizer as well. So when you're shared, like when he'll be presenting, just make him the presenter. Okay.
all right, I will try my level best. But do you know how can I make him presenter?
You can
Hello.
left click. Can you? Yes. Hello.
Hello. Can
Hello?
anyone hear
Who's
me?
this? Asif? Is this Asif?
Yes. Hello.
Yes. Yes. Is it Asif?
Yes, I am.
Yes. Okay. So
When I'm going to done,
uh
I'm going to make Asif presenter, right?
if you are
Yeah. Hold
presenting
on.
now, who is presenting now?
Saha.
I'm presenting for the list, array list, and linked list, and other stuff.
So you will be presenting in the first half.
Oh, I thought I was doing all the Wednesday.
No, I'm doing half of that.
Who's the other one?
Saha.
Saha.
Yeah.
Hold on.
So,
Let me see. Okay. Saha, where are you? I'm looking at the chat box right now.
I'm not.
Hold on.
He's all the way in the top. Like the screen that you see is his screen.
It's my
He's all
screen.
the way in the top.
Oh. Okay.
All right.
So you want to present, or should I?
Okay, let me do it, and I'll give you more time. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, if you need to unmute Ronnie, then
I'm okay. No. I'm just
you can
gonna.
do
I'm
that.
not gonna mute
Yeah.
anything. I'm just okay with this.
All right, Asif. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Let me see. How many we have? How many students we have now?
Okay.
So
Let's see.
far, only 11 students.
So, do you want me to start right now, or you want me to wait another 2 minutes?
I can start at any time. You want to start first?
Yeah. Let me start first, and then I will give you. I will make a presenter. Okay.
Okay, got it.
Thank you, miss. All right. Thank you, miss. Can you see my screen, guys?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
All right. Let me bring the. I don't know what is the chat button.
Give me 1 second.
Shaha, do you know how to make Ronnie the presenter? Like you can click on left click, and there is an option called make presenter. When Ronnie wants to present, just make him the presenter. Okay.
Okay. So I'm gonna click show my screen.
On like put a left click on Ronnie, Mr. Ronnie, and you would see like make presenter. So make him presenter when he needs to present. Okay.
Yeah, I understand,
I
but
can hear you.
I don't see any button that I can click and
When
run.
he needs to, you don't see anything.
Select one to left click. Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
But I don't see any chat button like people will. I'm gonna chat with them. I got it. I think I got it. I got it.
Shah, can you click on show my screen again, please?
Yeah.
Yeah. When you need to make Ronnie the presenter, you left click and click on make presenter.
All right.
Okay, then start your mentoring. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right, guys. I'm going to start right now. My name is Sukanta Saha. Goal for today. I'm going to discuss about file reader, buffer reader, scanner, array, and array list. That will be my goal today. So I'll try my level best. So if you guys think that I'm going very fast, let me know. I'll slow down. And if you guys want to start work with me, you can do it. No problem. So I'm going to start right now. All you guys think. And if you have any question, you can ask me on the chat button. All right. Let's close everything. First of all, I'm going to start for today with with the file reader and buffer reader, and then I'm going to go scanner and then array and then array list. Alright. So let's start with the file reader buffer reader. So I'm going to create a Java project. Alright, so this call is OTSD. Alright, under this I'm gonna source code, I'm gonna make a package. It's called mentor. Under the mentor, I'm gonna highlight. I'm gonna create a class. I'm gonna call it main. So, we're gonna make this one. So guys, first of all, you need to understand very well the API of buffer reader and file reader. So I'm going to show you one of the example, like Mr. Mafibai and Mr. Fine by should us. So let's see. Okay, maybe can you hear me guys clearly right now?
Mm-hmm.
Alright,
Yes.
thank you. It was issue with the sound. Okay, no problem. So guys, I'm going to show you the example. Okay, what does the file reader and buffer reader does? Okay, so so it reads the file in whatever you have inside the computer. So it doesn't work by itself. So it works both. So you see the image here. So if you have file here, so it works with these two methods, with the file reader and buffer reader. So it goes like serially. So from file reader, so it reads from it creates a path from file reader and it reads with the through the path the buffer reader. Then it comes with the program. So this is the one of the example that showed Mafibai also fine by. So let's create an object in file reader. So first of all, so thank you, Ibrahim. So first of all, my question to you guys: which method should I create first, buffer file reader or buffer reader? So as it works serially, so we have to go, yeah, file reader. Thank you, guys. Yeah. So let's create an object for them. File reader. So let's call it Selenium. Let's call it. So I'm gonna call it FR. New. So first of all, guys, file reader and buffer reader is a method. So we can see the method on online if you write it. If you type in Google, it comes auto. So I think about it here. So this is the file reader. So file reader is just construction, three constructor. There's not too many constructors, like three constructor only. So but if you guys notice here, there is no default constructor. So we have to put inside something the parameter. It depends which construction do you want to use. So it's very important to understand. We need to study a lot about the API. There is nothing to memorize. So we need to understand which method we are going to use. See method inheritance from reader. So actually we're going to use this method because it's going to read something. So there is everything breakdown here. So we need to understand the which method we are going to use and how you're going to use. And it's very important to understand because on the Selenium we're going to use API a lot. So at the same time also buffer reader. So sorry about that. So buffer reader, it also has some constructor. Whatever it does, it takes also like the default constructor. We don't need to mention anything in the parameter. Also, it takes an object. So we need to understand about the API, and it's very important to in your real market, real job. So there is nothing to memorize. We need to understand the API. So let's start in the program. So I create an object here. So I'm gonna, you see guys, there is an error sign, right? It told me there is a 4 error signs. I have to import it because if I don't import it, it will show me the error sign. At first, you have to import it because it is not part of Java index length. So I have to import it. So let's import it. So we import it, right? So right now we're gonna create a variable string. So the reason I'm creating string because it's going to read the file, right? So I'm gonna call the file name Selenium, and as you guys know, uh, let's uh, as you guys know that Selenium is like is going to be string, so I have to use the quotation mark, right? So I'm sorry. Alright guys, so I have created a file with the Selenium. It is on desktop. Let me show you guys. So for the Windows, like we need to take the path file. So for the Windows, you press CMD command. It comes to command. For the Mac, you press Terminator. So here you see the Selenium file right here, right? So to get the path file, you just drag and drop over there. It comes auto. So for one more time, if you want to see, I can show you guys. Also, you can go to manually, but it's better to like use this way. So copy and paste. Sorry guys. Copy and go to your. So we're gonna paste it here. So we're gonna write here Selenium. So we have created a string variable and we initiated the path file. Now we have to create another object constructor is called buffer reader, right? All right. Asif, if you don't mind, can you mute? I can hear a lot of noise.
Oh, sorry.
No problem. Just don't mind, okay? So we're gonna create another object is called buffer reader. Buffer reader. Reader. Call it br. File to buffer reader. Alright guys, let me put a check button. Okay. It's okay. I'm gonna do manually, Moses. I know I'm gonna do it manually. So good to know that method too automatically, but I'm gonna do it manual. Okay. So buffer reader. I'm gonna call it buffer. Okay guys. So you see I'm getting error. Did I write properly? Buffer reader. Yeah. So I have to import it as well as like the way I import file reader. So now I don't have any error. So still there is an error sign on file reader. So Mr. Murphy Boy and Mr. Fine Boy, they showed you different way. You can use both of way, but personally it depends all up to you. If you want to use the Mr. Murphy's way, then you need to surround with the try-catch method. It looks complicated, but that good to know. Like up to you guys. So if you use the try-catch method, it generates for you guys auto. So personally, I also like to work with add throws declaration. It doesn't look like too complicated. So let's use this one. Wait, exception. Alright guys, you see now I think I don't need to do this one. Alright guys, you see there is no error sign right now. Alright, so now we are going to create a string variable string. So I'm gonna call it st. So I'm gonna keep it blank. The reason I'm gonna keep it blank, so because we're reading something, right? So we have to leave it blank, and I can call you other object. so other variable, as long as it's reading something, right? So um, here we cannot use for loop method. We can use a while loop method, because in for loop method it has a lot of things that it doesn't go with this, and while loop it goes with this, because how can copy? MD Hussein says how we copy. I can copy it from CM. Yeah, you can copy CM from. Yeah, you can copy from command CMD. Type start button CMD, and then drag and drop your file. You will get the path file. That's why you don't need to go manually. So in manually Windows, I see a lot of problem. Yeah, okay, no problem. Thank you. So the reason we are doing while method here, it doesn't go with the for loop method. So we are using while loop method because it takes only one condition. So I'm gonna call it st equal to um, okay guys, so you see there's an object. I'm gonna call object vr dot read line. You see all the object is come here. So the reason we're gonna use read line, it reads. If you want guys, I can show you. I think where is that one? This file reader. There is a definition here, that's why I'm using here. I'm not sure where is it, but I found it also by myself, because that's why we're using read line. This is like, you know, one of the method, like it has the definition on the API. So I'm gonna use a read line. So you press object name and press dot, it comes automatically. So I'm gonna use this one. So I have to put here condition, right, to get them when I'm going to use, you know, while method, right? So I have to put here condition. So the condition I'm going to put here is not null, not equal to null. Okay, so you all guys know already. I think I'm missing something. I have to put here one bracket. So it doesn't work. Okay, so let me see what I've done. Okay. I think I have to put here one bracket. Sorry. Let me see. System.out. So system.out we have to call st, but I'm getting error here. So let me see what I have done. Change the boolean now. St br read line. Is here. Okay. Does anybody know where I'm getting error? It says yes, Sukanta.
Okay, can you move your where's your mouse? All right, go to the red line. Let me see the comment of what they says. No, I mean move your mouse a little bit inside the while loop statement. I want to change type to st to boolean.
No, it should be a string. So I'm getting error because okay, I got it.
Oh, okay, I see. Because, okay,
I have to put here.
st.
Yeah, I forgot to put
Yeah, there.
here. I see it's worked. So it was a mistake. No problem. Still, I'm getting an error sign. I have to close it. I didn't close it. If I don't close it,
Hold on, let me see.
Yeah, it works.
Oh, because you haven't finished yet. You have to.
Let
me see.
I have to close this. Okay.
No, you have to close it in the try and catch block.
No, we can close like this. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It works both. You know.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, it works both ways. So you see, that's why I was getting error. So if I run it, it's going to read whatever.
Make sure you save it. Make sure you save it before you run it, because there's an asterisk. Yeah, now you can run it.
Yeah. Thank you. So let's see. It's going to be run. whatever I have inside the file. So it says exception.
Line 18.
Read line, continue not to line. It's about the file leader, IO, the exception, buffer reader, file leader, IO exception.
Listen, I know you can do it without the try and catch bug, but it's more safer if you use the try and catch.
Yeah, but I have done like before, like a couple of minutes ago, I have done like that this way. I did this, so I think I'm missing something. Okay, let me check.
All right.
Text file.
Wait, can you put the br.close outside the while loop? Is that okay?
Where?
Can you put the br.close method outside the while loop? Could it work?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Yeah, this is the. Thank you. I think so. This is the issue. I think so. It could be work right now. Sorry.
You just accidentally. Okay, just go to no. Go to line. Undo that. Undo it. No. Cut off the. Okay, go to line 22 after the curly bracket.
Right.
Yeah. Now you can paste it.
I think right now it's gonna be working. Sorry guys for that. You see, right now it's working because I did it inside the while loop method. So that's how we are going to use. We are going to do file reader and buffer reader. What it does, one more time. So it creates the path with the file reader, and it reads the path with the buffer reader, and it prints out here whatever I have inside the file. So we'll come to PNT serial name is the easy way to get in the ID field. Okay. That was the file and buffer reader. And right now I'm going to show you guys the scanner. Let me see what do we have. Yeah, scanner method. Alright, guys. Alright. So let's create another class. If you guys have any question about the topic, you can ask me. Let's call it main. Let's do capital letter. I have the main here, so I'm going to call it application. So we don't need this one. Scanner method is a scanner has a lot of constructor. Is a scanner method has a lot of construction. Let's look at the API. We are going to use this method. Okay, scanner new scanner system in. So integer. I'm going to use this one. So it has the definition on everything on API. If you type in Google, it comes auto. So I'm going to use this one. Alright guys, let's get a scanner. Called SC into new scanner. So first of all, let's see, does it take a default constructor or it doesn't take? So it doesn't take, so it takes a system in. So let's put a system in. System system.in. Yeah. So we have to import it. It doesn't. I think so. We have to import it. Yeah, we have to import it as well as. Okay. So import it. So now I'm gonna create a variable integer. integer age. Okay, so I'm going to print it out system let's see how old are you. So yes,
I'll be right back.
no problem. Let's see how old are you. Okay guys, so I have created one I declare its integer s instead of string. So let's see how does it work. In the string and integer there is a little difference that I will show it to you guys. So now I have to create a I have to initiate the integer. So sorry, age equal to call the object sc dot. So how does it work? So when I put the if I put the int sorry, if I put here a string, then we have to use this method. Next line is, you see there's a string, right? Why does it call a string? So we use integer, we have to use integer scanner, right? So next integer. So it's up to you, like if you use a string, so be careful, use next. Yes, so if you use integer, you use next integer. Alright guys, so let's put quotation mark here. Now I'm going to print out system control space. So let's call it we're going to use computation here. No worries. How old are you? Let's put the age here. Age plus here put here conversion I will allow you to get in. What it does, like, okay, it's gonna ask you at first how old are you, then if you will enter your age, then it's going to print out system.out print like, okay, no worries, how old are you, it's going to print out the age, whatever you were going to put, then it will say I will allow you to get in. So you see I'm getting error sign because I have to close it. When I'm going to close it, I'm going to call sc dot close point method. You see there is no error warning sign right now. So if I run it, it will tell you how old are you, and if you put your age, it's going to tell you no worries, how old are you. It's going to print out the age, whatever you will input on the keyboard. So then it will tell you I will allow you to get in. Let's run it, save it, and run it. You see how old are you? Suppose you say 21 years old. So you see, it says no worries, how old are you? Sorry guys, 21. I forgot to hear this space. 21, I will allow you to get in. So that's how whatever you're reading, that's how the scanner method works. Scanner has a lot of constructor, so like we need to understand all of it. There is another construction. So I think yeah, it helps you guys. So if you guys use this constructor, so you have to use another method. So there's a lot of constructor here, a lot of things. So I like especially scanner. You can use with a lot of purposes. If you guys have any question, let me know. Then I'm gonna go another. I have to do a lot of things. Asif is also waiting for mentoring. Alright, let's work with the array method. I'm gonna not go the conditional sentences. I'm gonna show you some of the trick of the array method. I think Asif will continue after that.
All right, so
Okay, so let me do the array method. I will make you a presenter. Okay.
All right.
Okay, guys. So let's make another. I can use here. No problem. Take it out this. Let's get another plus. Let's call it variable. We don't need this one. Alright, guys. The array definition, you have to put the in like the variable name it first. So I'll call it integer. Two way we can show you the array. I'll show you to right now integer. So it is the square bracket, and we call here. So my name Saha variable. So you get new. So let's do this one first. Okay, it takes the value. Let's put some here value here like 4 sorry 4 6 77 8. So it has 4 value here, right? So in array method of color. So right now the index, that is a 4 value, but index number 0 is 4. As long as you guys know the array method is start from 0, right? So index number 0 is 4, index number 1 is 6, index number 77 is index number 2 is 77, index number 3 is 8. So it starts from the 0, right? So for example, like right now if you want to print out something like system.out control space here. So guys, you see, if you want to print it out right now, so if you, let's say like you want to print it out index number 4, right? So index number 3, right? Saha, you call the object name, and you bring, sorry, the square bracket, you call the we call the index number, whatever it says 3. If you know guys the answer, can you tell me who was going to print out right now? Anyone can tell me what's going to print out right now? Anyone can tell me what's going to print out right now?
You want me to answer?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, Ibrahim already answered.
Yeah, okay.
It's on the chat box.
Okay, I can see the set. Oh my god. Okay, I was all the way off. Alright, thank you, Ibrahim. Yeah, it's going to print out 3. Ibrahim is right. Alright, yes. So you see, it's going to print out 3, right? So this is the one way we're doing here. So let's put you see another way. I don't like this way, but let's see. Integer is called number equal to new integer. Alright, then I have to put its size. The size means the index number. Okay, let's put it as 5. Alright, so you see I have I'm missing something. I have to call integer here. Alright guys, this is no error. So here I have declared here the array method. Okay, so right now I have to set up the all the number one by one. So number, suppose here it starts from 0, right? So 0, suppose it's called like 44. Number number 1, so 1 was like, suppose you call here 77 hour. So you copy, paste. So it is number 2 This is number 3. So this is called maybe 66. This is called 99, whatever. Okay, you see, so I have to initialize one by one. So it like good to know it, but to be honest with you, like this is not a good program and the way you're gonna write here. So if you want to print it out or something like index number 1, like 2, so you can call system.out print line, and here you can call 2. So for your Saha, it's going to be num. So it's going to be print out 66, guys. What do you think? Yeah, let's see. 66, but this is not the good way to programming. Instead of this, we can use for loop method, right? So before we can use for loop method instead of this one. I think you guys everyone knows that you can use a for loop method. Let's see. I'm gonna show one more things about this. Then I'm gonna make the presenter ASCII already. So one thing that is going to be very sweet. I think you guys will like that. Let's get a table with the array method. Yes. Give me one moment. Alright, let's get a table for the arrow method, right? Okay. It will be sweet. I think you will enjoy it. Alright, guys. Okay. First of all, to create a table, right? We want to create a table, right? It's called system.out control space printer. So table, it has like at least a 2 or 3 column row, right? So then it's concatenation. Let's say index index, and let's call backslash t. Backslash t means like bunches of space, maybe it 5 space. I'll show you guys. Okay, let's call value. Alright, if I want to print it out, let's see what does it come. You see, guys, index and value. It comes index and value, right? So we are going to create a table. So that's why I'm going to use at first like system.out print line. Okay. So if I don't use space, okay, space and t, backslash and t, if I space like 4 5, space is going to do the same thing, but it's good to know. It's good to know like you can use space and t, backspace and t, like it will autocorrect. You don't need to do nothing. Alright, guys, so we're gonna create a table for that. Alright, guys, so let's create a object with the array. I'm gonna call it integer. Let's call my name Saha. Alright, guys, so let's use the curly brackets. Let's see. I'm gonna put some value here. Let's 117748. Alright, so I have like 4 value here. Okay, sorry, I have 4 value here. So right now I'm gonna use for loop method to create the table. Okay, guys. So let's call integer I equal to 0. So we can call here like the way we want. Like I'm going to use the link method. Is best. So call name Saha. Whatever I have inside here, how many index I have. It is like the boundary. Okay. Call dot. You press here. Dot. It should become length. So this Saha length means like all of this here, how many index I have here. So let's use, I'm going to increment because as long as we start from the 0. here because I put here n. This length I'm getting error of let's see. It's same length. Alright, yes. So you see I'm using a for loop method. Alright, yes. So now I'm going to print it out, right? System.out control space. Alright, so basically whatever I'm doing right now here, I'm going to print it out the I value, right? Alright, so I'm going to use the same space that I need to use a computation here first. Plus is computation. I'm going to use the backslash and p because it's going to maintain the same space. So that's why I don't need to do nothing here. So is your plus and call the method Saha. Is I. Alright guys, whatever I'm telling you in system.out line, call here the value whatever I have the index number here, and I'm keeping the same space on the index here, index and value here. So I'm gonna print it out right now. You'll see it will create a nice table, I think so, if I don't make mistake. You see guys here it created a nice table, right? Index number 0 is 11, index number 1 is 77. So the few things to learn over here, so whatever we are learning here we can use the way we want. So I found it like some interesting things here with the array list. I can play around, so I think Asif it will be better for me because he will introduce something new stuff. So all of you guys know the conditional statement, as long as like Mr. Murphy and fine by went long time. Also yesterday Kahina and someone also showed to you guys a conditional sentence. So it's best way to learn new things. So you can play around. I can show you the array list. So I think Asif took the preparation for whole mentoring. So I'm gonna make him the presenter. So if you guys have any question, let me know. So my main focus, don't just memorize anything, just try to use something to make it. So this is my main concentration. So guys, thank you so much. If you guys have any question, let me know. Give me 2 minutes to copy this. No problem. You can take your time and copy it. So this is the one thing that you can you can create a lot of tables or whatever, however you want. Like a programmer, there is nothing wrong to you as long as you play around with any method, any index, whatever you're doing. You make something else. Don't just follow someone code and try to memorize the code and follow it. So I was trying to do the same thing because I don't have a computer background, but day by day I think I'm starting to learn API. So I think it's helping me to do something. So no problem. You're saving. It will take 2 minutes to copy it. Once you're done, let me know. Then I'm gonna make ACID presenter.
You guys ready?
Give me 1 minute because someone is copying this. Okay.
All right, sure.
Do you know how can I make you presenter? Asif?
Hold on. Presenter, let me see. Is there a camera?
Show my chat pattern message. Show me the arrival preparation.
Oh, hold on. By accident.
No problem. Show me presenter.
All right. Let me see. Screen sharing. Okay. Let me see.
I think you click should be.
Oh, it says make okay, I see. It says make another attendee the presenter.
Screen sharing.
Oh, it says look at the chat box. Look at the chat box from Ibrahim. He's telling you.
Should be able to right click his name. Click on the make presenter. But where I'm going to click right?
Check the
attendance. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, attendance. Yeah. Yeah, change the presenter. Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay,
how do I share my?
I got it. Let me make a presenter. So it's Asif Ronnie, right?
Yes.
I don't see your
as
name.
in
What
as
says?
if, and a roni as in macaroni.
Okay, so I'm going to make a presenter.
Can anyone see it? Can anyone see my screen?
Yeah, I can see. Can you hear me, Asif?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So I'm gonna
Okay.
unmute. I'm gonna unmute. Okay.
All right. Hold on. All right. Let me just look. How many? Hold on. Where's the attendance? Hold on. How many we have? Okay, we have 12 attendee out of 52. Event. All right. So now I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna explain the list, array list, linked list. Then we're gonna go over stacks and queues. That's part of the data structure. Yeah, I can hear you. Hold on. Someone wrote a chat box. I hope you're recording and send. It says it's recording it. It says this session is being recorded. If possible. Doesn't record. Well, no. If you look down on your attendee before, it says below Tuesday to Wednesday. You see there's a red dot says this session is being recorded. I'm not in the control. Yeah, I think it's automatic. Okay, so let's go over. Okay, first off, before we go to array list and linked list, we first need to know understanding of list. Let's talk about the abstract data type. Well, ADT. Abstract data type is a model of data structure which specifies characteristic of a collection of data, such as the data members and instant variables. The operation performed on collection is the methods. It's abstract because it doesn't specify the implementation of ADT. And a given ADT has multiple implementation. You know how you extend earn inheritance from interface? Mr. Moffitt gone over with it. We're not using extension, we're only using a interface. So the implementation of a list is array list. Hold on. We have two types of linked lists. One is single and double. For now, we're focusing on single linked list because it should be easy. Other linked lists we're not going to go over. So this is the list. Hold on. Sorry. This is the list interface methods. You have the void clear, insize, boolean is empty, any type get. Okay, if you see the word any type, it means that there's a list interface that says, I'll give you an example. Let's say interface. Let me just make this bigger. Interface, you can name whatever you want, like, I don't know, like car with a generic, and you type any type. So a name of an interface and a name of a generic. Any type can take in any strings or integers or anything, or any class type or reference. So if you do it in the main and you call the car something like car string, I don't know, car1 equal to new car. This, you're calling this car. No, sorry. Let's just say car list. Sorry. And you're calling a class called car, which implements car list. So what it does is it converts from the any type generic into strings. Or if you do integer, it'll turn any type generics into integer. Okay, so we have the clear, the size is empty, get, set, add, and add. This is just what I learned from the previous class. All right, so let's talk now that we're done talking about the list. well, we're going to go to a more objective on the array list. So I'm going to show you what I have. Array list is like an array, but it can allocate every time you use when it reaches to a full capacity. And here's a diagram of an example. This is my first time entering, but please forgive me if you don't understand what I'm talking. Okay. So let's just say you create an object array list, and you want to add into the array capacity. So let me just go to void list. Okay, my class called data structure chapter 3.1. Anyone listening? Anyone following? Okay, so here I made the a class called a data structure, and this is my list string list equal the new array list, which I import array list and list because, well, list is giving implementation to the array list. So array list is getting the method from the list interface. So here I called the any type or any generic name string. So it's going to only take string. And I add into the list, like list.hello, list.add world. In the array list, you don't need to declare the capacity. It's kind of infinite or limitless. So now that I have the generic string, it will only take int strings type. If I do list.add style, like say 15, it's going to give me an error because it only takes string. So if I do like this, like make 15 into a string, it'll accept it. You're following me? So list is an interface for implementers to array list and linked list. Array list and linked list is a list, but list is not array list or a linked list. So, oh, sorry. So let me go back to the list interface methods. We have clear, size, is empty, get, set, add, and another add method. Well, actually, there's a boolean called add. If you add a value, it returns true that you already add to the value. And there's the void add, set to, you can place the new value into a specific index, but it won't tell you. And we have the remove type, which removes any element, but you have to give a specific index. And you have the iterator, which you can print the entire list. You cannot use a for loop. Well, there, you could, but not in the regular way, like accessing the array. That is different. So here I have the list.add, hello world, my name is Sifroni. And I want to, and there's already add, and I want to get, and I'm going to use the get method. So I have a string get words. It's been assigned with the empty string, and I'm getting the first element. List.get 0. It'll take the first element of the array list and prints out. So if I run it, it prints hello. Now I can change as long as I specify the index, and as long as I know how many the range. So here, this is index 0. Are working with generics? Yeah, look. Yes, there's a list. Yes, we have a list called string within the generics. You see the angle bracket right here. If you wanted instead of string and integers, I can do that. But I'll show you the next example on the linked list. Array list and linked list, they're much similar. Almost equal, but they're similar. Linked list, on the other hand, is typically different from array list. linked lists use nodes and data values. We're not going to go over deep into it. I'm just going to show you how to use the linked list. It's pretty much the same thing for list for this one. I can do, okay, well, there's another way. Instead of calling list, I could do this. Array list string, go to new array list. Let me just comment it out, and it still works. The only thing is, list is an interface, and since you are importing array lists, if you look into your Java API, you'll see that all implement interface of iterable, collections, and list right here. The E stands for the name of the generic. The generic can be named anything, just like naming a variable. E can be any type of data, whether it's primitive or reference or object. So you can call it list integers or list double, list string, or any other class. So basically, I can do either array list string or list string. Either way, it works, because array list is implementing these types of interfaces. Array list is taking at least at most 6 interfaces. So I have hello world, my name is Steve Roney, and the size of this capacity is 7. So let me go back right here. Okay, I have the system printout list. Okay, well, there's 2 alternatives to use the get method. You either do number 1, declare a string variable and assign it to the list.getZero and print the get words, or you do the system.out list.get whatever the index you want, as long as it's within the range. This is 0 to 6. So there's this hello is index 0, world is 1, my is 2, up to Roni 6. So if I run it, oh, hold on. Let me just, you get 2 hellos from 1 and 2. Okay, now I'm gonna change from the second one, from list get 0 to list get 6. And if I run it, it prints hello Roni. But if I go out of bound, let's just say I put list.get7, which is out of bound from the list, it's going to give me an error. Index 7, size 7. It's out of range. But if I was to able to, let's just say, add one more thing, like any word. So give me any word, any random word. All right, you know what? I'm just gonna. Very funny. Fine, I'll take your words, Ibrahim. Okay, talk car. I'll take both of it. You know what? Let's add baboon and run it. See, it works as long as you're within the range. So you have 8 elements. And how can you determine the number of elements? Well, you need to keep track of it. Since there are 8, the last element will be 8 minus 1, which gives you 7 as the last element. If you do your code lab, you should know by now how to access the last element on the array. It should be easy. Okay, let's try something else. List.get8. It's going to give me an error. So I'll take the Mr. Takar, list.get add ghost. And it works. All right then. Now you have, this is the get method. You're accessing the get method from the array list. So it should be quite simple. Now we're going to do the method one. Okay. Remember I said the use of for and while loop? You're printing from the array list. And remember when I say you cannot use the for loop because we could use it, but we were using the array to access. Well, there are two methods to print the entire list with the for loops. Well, there are two methods. Actually, three methods. We have method 1a, 1b, and 2. Method 2 use iterators and a while loop. So let's go over method 1a. Let me just comment it out. Okay, mon.a. Int size equal to list.size. You're calling the size method from the array list, which the array list is getting the method size from the interface list. Then you can use the integer size, which tells you the number of elements. Run it into the for loop, and it prints you the entire list. So if I run it, hold on. Hello world, my name is Arif running Baboon Ghost. That's one method. Okay, let's call this out. All right, let's go with method 1b. You call for a string called print with colon list. Anyone reading this? You see, it's printing the entire list. So if I run it, it still works. Any questions? Yeah, I'll get to the iterator sooner or later. Hold on. I have Anand Takar. He asks, how would you answer an interview question about what an iterator is and does? Well, you can look it up at the Java API. They'll tell you the answers. And if you cannot find the answer where you're looking for, go to the tutorial points. So iterator, tutorial point, or Java how to use iterator, or design pattern iterator pattern, or you just go to the iterator Java API, and it should give you all the answer you need. But mostly I use the tutorial point, or just Google search. It'll give you the answer you need. Mafi is going to ask you on the quiz, so whatever question he's going to give you on the quiz about iterator is going to be used on the interview. But it can be varied in many ways. Okay, any question? Any question about the print method? Okay then. All right, so method 1a. Method 1b. Okay, let's go to method 2, the iterator. So I call on the iterator. Make sure you call it string because you want to match the same generic as the list generics. Array list or list. Because if you don't, let's just say I don't use the generics. It's going to say iterators are raw type. You need to specify the iterator because it doesn't know what it is. So if I run it, it still works, but it's a raw type. It doesn't know whether it's integer or string is going to print anyway. Well, there are other options. If you see the icon right here means it's not used, you just click here and look at the solution. Change type to iterator string. And if I do, let's just say integer, it's going to give me an error because the list is a string. Okay, so let me just destroy this work first. While you call this variable itr iterator, access its methods, call for the has next because it's going to tell you how many is there. It's going to tell you if there's a next element on the list. What you do is you call the system print and you call the itr dot next. It calls one element after another. So if I run it, oh yeah, one thing. Make sure if you want it in one single line, just cut out the ln for a print next line. Oh, and give a space. Once run it, you get hello world. My name is a Sifroni Baboon Ghost. If we go to the array list API, there are lots of methods you can use. Like the other presenter, you can experiment. Yeah, be more creative. Just test them out. And if you want to see how it works, go to either the ArrayList API or tutorial point. You just do ArrayList API Java, or you do tutorial point. Either way, it will work. They give you the same thing. And sometimes they give you an example. Very useful examples. Like this one. And you can do the try it. You can run and compile online. So if you click try it, you have, see, it has everything right here. So let's just say I change from B to DF, something like that. Oh, hold on. Now, if you run and execute, see, DF is right here. Look where I'm highlighting it. So basically, you can use a Java API, tutorial point, or any ways that is suitable for you or something that makes you comfortable. So now we've done discussing with the array list. So let's go to here. It looks like an array. Okay, let's focus on this one. It looks like an array, but it's an actually array list. So when you're entering a value like sir or df or well definition or c and so on, I'm just gonna write random string variables. Ignore the case and so on. Once it reaches the capacity and you want to add more values, well, you can't. Unless if it's an array list, since it's implementing list, if you want to add something, it'll allocate a new one. So this would be 10, and you want to call something else like baboon. It'll allocate list even if it reaches full capacity. So this is array list. Now let's talk about linked list. All right, see right here. Right next to, Sorry. See right here, linked list. Okay, in this linked list, you'll see each box contains a data, and there's an arrow called a pointer, pointing to the next element. It's like you have a paperclip and you chain them one to another, and they stick together, like follow the leader. One chain after another. That is what is called linked list. However, you cannot access the data. You have to run through a loop. Let's just say you want to access index 2. Then you have to start from 0 up to 1 and up to index 2 to access this element. You cannot just jump directly. Same thing for array list. You cannot jump directly to here. If you want to get the element index 4 of the string element, like CSF, you have to start from 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. You cannot go directly. Like arrays, you can go directly access without going around in a loop. But in this case, for array list and linked list, you need to run for a for loop in order to find the element or what you're looking for. So the same thing for like array list, linked list does the same thing. So here I call list integer equal to new linked list, or I can do this, linked list. Same thing, it will work. And I call the random generator, random variable called rand. So I'm assigning it to two variables. One is to call the random generator max size. It either gives me 10 to 15. Yeah, it'll give me 10 to 15 size. Well, between 10 and 15. So when I run a for loop, I add the random generator from this one is going from 0 to 90. So it's going to go to 10 to 100. 100 values. All right. So same thing, you call on the get method in a similar method like I presented to you. You have the get method, either call the integer variable, assign it to this variable, and print it. Or directly print the list.getZero or any other access element, but it has to be within the range. Since you don't know what's the size of it, you can call on list.size. It'll tell you how many elements is on the list. So you can make it easy for yourself. Same thing for the for loop. I call the list.size method and assign it to the size variable integer. I run the for loop. It gives me a nice list. So let's run this. Okay, so it's calling on the get method 0 right here. 94, 94. Let me just fix something. Oh, hold on. So let's run it. Okay, so this is my list. It is printing from one line, and then it's print on the next line. So let's go on. Let's go to another method. Sorry. All right, we have the integer print number colon with the list. So integer print number is accessing the list variable, and it's printing out onto the list. You'll run it. Okay. It's the same thing. Same thing for the while loop, and when you're calling it iterator, ITR. Okay, after you print the list, let's say you want to add some more, like list dot add 15. And you want to print the whole list again. You cannot use the same iterator because it's going to have an error. You have to call another variable. So here I'm going to show you iterator integer. We have to name something else other than ITR. ITRE equal to list dot iterator. Iterator. This iterator ITRE is much different from ITR because you're adding something after it's printed. So every time you modify the list, like add or remove, the list changes and you need to keep updating. So you need to call another iterator in order to work. So I'm going to copy paste. So let's call ITRE, ITRE next. And if we print, it works. Oh, I printed this twice. Hold on. Okay, so let me just cut this out. And let me call this call for a next line. So if I run it, all right, so here's the original list from here. This is before, and this is after when I add on the 15. Any question if I, oh, no? Okay, so here, I call on two different iterator methods. Let's say we call the same iterator. Doing so, it only gives me an error because you cannot print the list after you insert or remove. You have to call the next iterator, another iterator, because it's only printing from the original. Anything that's been modified from the original, you cannot use that iterator. So you must call on another variable, another variable iterator. So if we run it, it works. So any question before we move on to stacks? Okay, I see. I can read your comment. Anyone else? Anyone? So, is there any question about array list and linked list? Give me any comment. Are you recording? I don't know. It said this session is being recorded, so I'm not in control. So someone is. Someone that sent the link. Okay, so any question on the linked list and array list? Well, I can tell you about the array list and linked list, but I cannot go deeper because, well, because it's going to take a lot of time and you might find it hard to understand, but I can show you some implementation later on when we meet up in next class. Sounds cool? All right, then. So, no questions. Let's move on to okay. I commented out on all of it. So let me just show you what I've been up to. So here is another data structure called stack. Same type of generics. Stack is what it does is, when you have a number of plates and you stack them up together, that's what it's called stack. It stacks one element after another. So if you, let's just say, here is stack. So let's just say if you want to add the value, let's put 12. And then you want to add the next value, you put 25, 45, and so on. It adds one stack after another. That's the easiest thing you can do. You call on the push method to add one element on top of another element. So it's different from array list and linked list because, well, it's implementing an array or array list. On stack, you're only calling the push and pop method, which is to add and remove the value. So let's go to okay, just ignore this because, well, you don't need to type the whole class of linked list because it's already provided you in the Java API, so there's no need to worry about that. Oh, one more, okay. Before we go to the stack, Mr. Murphy is going to question us on the midterm, which is very, very crucial and important. He'll talk about the time complexity. Hold on. All right, I just got some, when you exit the session, should you give us the option to convert to MP4 file? I don't know. You should go to the Dropbox. There's a mentoring link right there. It was provided to you. I think it's uploaded to YouTube. Okay, so this is important. Here you see there are two methods. One is using a for loop, and one is using a while loop with the iterator. And the time complexity for these two types are much similar. So let's focus on the method one here. Okay, so array list, integer A, you're calling on the array list integer type. And you already add some element, and you want to print on the list one single line or all the lists together. You call on the for loop. I is equal to 0, I is less than n, which is n is equal to 8.size, the number of elements, and it increments every time you run. The system.out print line 8.getI. The runtime of this code is O of n. Mr. Murphy will ask us the time complexity, but you should visit some other website I'll tell you later on because he's going to ask us that question on the midterm. That is very crucial. He'll use the, and same thing can be used when you're being asked on the interview. Same thing. So this is runtime of this code is O of n. For a linked list, if you're using a for loop, it's printing O of n square. Depending on the depending on what you see. So if I show you time complexity Java, oh, cheat sheet. This could be useful for the midterm. You see right here. Anyone looking at this? Look at this chart. Anyone responding? Anyone listening? Hello? Yeah. Okay, so you see right here. Horrible, bad, fair, good, excellent. It tells you how how it's running with a faster algorithm and a faster and less usage of CPU. So here is the a chart of all the data structure: array, stacks, queue, single linked list, double linked list, all of this, including quicksort, merge sort, and all this. He's going to ask you on the midterm and the interview. So use this. This is the website I'm using, bigocheatsheet.com. He's going to ask you probably on the midterm. I don't know what kind of question he's going to ask, but it's going to be related to the data structure. He'll ask you on that midterm. And so use this. We're not expect to memorize this, but he's going to give us some homework based on this, a homework for the midterm. So grab your, write it down or on your piece of paper and write this website down, bigocheatsheet.com. It will be very useful for you on the midterm and the homework based on the midterm. Oh, remember, do not memorize this. Just bring it, like, I don't know, like print it and bring it to class or for homework usage for the midterm. It's very useful. All right then, any questions? Good. So for this one, if you're using a for loop on the array list, the runtime of this code for this entire program, let's just say you wrote in the main array list A and you add values and then you printed it with a for loop, the runtime of this code will be O of n. Okay, for linked lists, on the other hand, if you do the same thing, is O of n squared. As I demonstrated, O of n is kind of fair. O of n squared, I know it's a lot faster, but, well, it's much faster, but let's just say, well, I don't know. I'm not going to go into that detail, but he'll explain you on to this, on this type of chart. Oh, and if you do the reading from the Java he provided you, it'll explain you clearly why is it bad or why is it worse. Okay, and so on. Okay, now if you use array list, all right, let's go to method 2. If you use an array list on the while loop using an iterator, it's the same thing, O of n. But the only difference is that when you're using an iterator and a while loop on the linked list, it's going to be O of n. The only difference between the for loop and the while loop in the linked list is that, and on the for loop, the runtime will be n squared, while on the for loop on the n squared, and the while loop will be the n. So this is much faster and faster algorithm than the for loop on the linked list. So let's move on to stack. Stack interface. We have in size, boolean is empty, void push, any type top, and any type pop. This is the interface of stack. And if you see the parentheses, it means it tells you what does this each method does. So, and here's a stack called a stack linked list implementation. Well, you can call the stack class, or you just create your stack linked list implementation. Either way, it works. So I'm going to show you both ways, calling the stack class and the stack linked list implementation. So forth. So, okay, let's ignore this. Okay, this may not be important for this one because it tells you how it works. Okay. Okay, so iterator through a linked list for each. As I already mentioned, is O of n. In the stack ADT, each operation of the stack data structure is O of 1. Limitation of using an array is fixed size of the stack. So basically, a stack is an array, but you have to give it size. But if you're implementing an array list, it's dynamic. It'll be infinite. Con of using a linked list, well, either way works. Con of using a linked list, each access of a node, creation or deletion, requires a larger number of constant instructions to perform as opposed to the array implementation. Okay, so here's in the built-in util stack class. We have size, empty, push, pop, and peek. And our stack ADT is size is empty, push, pop, top. They're much the same, but different name. This is, it has a different concept. So we have size, empty, push, pop, peek. And if you look it up on the stack class on the API, we have empty, peek, pop, push. Oh, and there's the method called search. You search for the element through the stack. So here's what stack does. So we have 12, 25, 45, 58, and 20. Notice the difference here. 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. They're going backwards. Well, that's because we're running an array list. So basically, hold on. Stack is more like a, let me just show you. It's much faster. Whole border. Let's view grid line. Perfect. We have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, say we have a stack that takes in 6 elements. And you're calling on the push method. So if you do, let's just say, stack integer st equal to new stack, you first make a declaration. Then you call on the add method. So if you call st dot add 90, so it's going to go on the index 0 element. Okay, so forth. It's just simple. It's just ending. It's going to end to the end of the. It's going to add to the end of the list. So if I do the same thing, st dot add, I don't know, 18, something like that. Same thing. St dot add 98. But there's one thing you should know. Stack is completely different from array list and linked list. As I'm going to show you why. So if I call st dot, instead of add, it's going to be push. Sorry. If you refer to the Java API, you have the push. It pushes an item on top of the stack. It's adding on the list. So basically, what you just did is that you're calling a stack and you add first 90, then you call on 18, and then you call for 98. It's adding one element on another. So here's something you should know. You have a push method that adds on top of the stack. And you have another method called pop, which removes the element from the top of the stack. So if I do st.pop, it's going to remove 98 out from the stack. And if I call st.push, I don't know, like 23, that will be added on top of the stack, and so forth. So you have push, which add at the top of the stack, and you have pop that removes at the top of the stack. Simple. It's like you add one plate after another, and you take out the plate from the top of the entire plate. One plate after another. So should be pretty simple. Any question on that? No? Okay. So let's go to my program on stack. So I'm calling on stack integer st new stack, and I'm calling the random generator. It's calling for the max. All right. So here, st dot is empty. Is the list empty? It's going to print yes. The list is empty. I'm just need to check one thing. So let's run it. Before, empty? Yes, because we haven't added anything. We have not added anything onto the stack. So now let's go on. So I'm using a for loop. System.out print line push at index I. So this is important because it's going to tell you that each element is going to be pushed onto one element after another. As I stated before, stack has an index. When you like for this one, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. That is important because because on the stack class, well, stack interface. Anyway, stack has a pretty method. It's called a let t be the top of stack. What it does is that it keeps track on the stack of this array. And when you call on the push, it adds a new value on top of it and updates the top of the stack of top. Okay, let's call TA top of stack or top. It's much better. So here, let's just say top of stack is 2. And you want to add the value 58 onto the stack. So if you do add element 58, you update the top of stack. And now it points to 3. Simple. Okay, and if you're calling on the push method, what it does, if you call the pop method on the top of stack, it will eliminate. But it returns to you because it's calling on the top of stack before it becomes null and updates. Simple. So we have a system.out print push at index. So let's make this. So if I run it, okay, so we have before empty. It was empty before. Now we have push at index 0 right here. All right, now let's make this. Now we have a list. Okay. It calls on the is empty. Is the stack empty? No. And the method called peek, it means it tells you what is the value at the top of the stack. Peek and pop are much similar. The only difference is that peek does not remove the value from the stack, while pop does, and make the top of the stack null and decrement the value top of the stack. So here what I'm gonna, if I run it, we have 93, 15, 84, 62, 70, up to 76. It calls on the peek method, top of the stack, 76. So what it does, stack implements array or array list, and it's using the top stack to access the value. So let's just say the top stack is implements array, not array list, just an array with a capacity of 1024. So what it does is, if you look at the stack constructor, it has the integer top of the stack equal to -1, because at the time it's empty. So when you add a new value, top is incremented. It becomes 0, and so forth. if it implements an array and you're calling on the peek method, it's going to call for the data top. It's going to access the top of the stack, the last element. So, so we have the size empty. Well, size because it's going to tell you the number of elements because it's going to use the value top of the stack. Top of the stack plus 1 gives you how many elements is on the elements on the stack. So the top value is much important. I'm telling you this is, well, now basically I'm just telling you the deep inside of stack. So one thing for sure. Oh, okay, then we're calling on the pop method. Okay, so after we print the list, it's going to call the pop method sc.pop, and then we'll print the whole list again. So if we run it, okay, top of the stack is 35. We have 50, 57, 72, up to 35. Top of the stack is 35. The stack is not empty. The top of the stack is 35. Pop is 35. So we're calling on the pop method to remove the value 35 out from the stack class. Okay, what if it wasn't pop, whether it was peek? It just tells you the value of top of the stack. Now we have from 51, 67 up to 69. Top of the stack is 69. Peak is 69, and we have 69 still on the list, and it does not remove. So why not we call on something else? Let's play around. So instead of peak, we'll call pop. And let's call on the next iterator because we cannot use the same thing because it'll print an error. SE equal to SD.iterator. While SE.hasNext SYS SE.next. Okay, make sure you if you want to print in a single line. It's up to your choice. So let's print. Okay, we have a stack from 87 to 56. The first one, 87, is on the bottom of the stack, like the bottom of the plate. 56 is on top of the stack, which is top of the plate. We call on peak. Peak tells you what is the value at the top of the stack. It's 56, and it's calling on the pop method. What is the value? Hold on, sorry, it was a phone call. Give me 1 sec. Hello. All right, sorry guys. Anyway, okay, like I said, for pop method, it tells you what is the value at the top of the stack, and at the same time, remove that value from the stack. So we have on this list 87 to 56. That was before we called the pop method. But after we called the pop method, we got 87 to 76. When you call on the pop or push, it updates the capacity and it updates the list. So any question on the stack? No? All right. Anyone? Anyone listening? Yeah, no? Wait, so far it's good. Okay. All right, then. So that's stack. Oh, correct. Hold on. I accidentally closed the console. Right. Okay. So that is data structure, chapter 3. Can I look at it once more? Which one? The stack? Which one? Yeah, okay, sure. Let me just put in full screen. All right, right here. Oh, most importantly, ignore this one. It says import scanner. Well, because I'm using on the, because I'm gonna go over next using, well, I'm just gonna show you what I'm doing. So, how long did you take approx to learn all of this? Oh, that, in this, I was taking a summer course this year on data structure, so I just got myself ahead. I was taking a data structure class. So, okay, so, okay, so anyway, anyone done looking at the code? Yeah, okay, so we're not done with it because I'm going to show you step by step what is going to happen. So let me just do multi-comment on this. Because now I'm calling on the scanner class to do me. Oh, can you go over it? Okay, fine. He wants to go over it. Let me just. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm calling on the stack method. I'm declaring and initializing a stack class called st. I'm calling on the random generator. So I'm printing on the list. Okay, Saim has arrived. So is the list empty? Yes, it's going to return true because we haven't added any value. And you know, stack, you're just stacking one plate after another, like building a tower out of it, brick by brick. You get the understanding of concept, right? Yeah, okay. So what you do is you call on the push method, which adds one element after another, brick by brick, plate by plate. You add one thing on top of another. So you're calling on the push method to add the element on top of the stack, one after another. After you've done that, you print out after empty, it's going to return false, and you call on the peek method. It tells you what is the value at the top of the stack, but it does not remove the value from that stack. Pretty simple. And I call on the iterator to print the whole list of it. And after that, I call the pop method, which tells me what is the value at the top of the stack. At the same time, remove that value from that stack and update it onto what was beneath from that value. And I print on the list. So here I'm going to print. Yes, I want to print. So before is empty, yes. And I'm calling the push method on these values, 49, 9, 24, up to 17. So it's no longer empty, it's returned false. Top of the stack is 17 because I'm calling the size or something. I haven't looked at the code yet, so it's been a while. I'm calling on the peek method, and it gives me 17. I ask to print the list, and it gives me the list. I ask for a pop method, it gives me the value, but it removes the value from the stack. Like taking that plate, top of the plate, out of the stack. So hold on. Let me just go back to the code. So, so here, SD, let me just clear everything out. So if I call sd dot push 19, it's going to be add to the stack onto index 0. So if I call sd dot push 25, it's going to add to the stack, and so forth. Sd dot push 65. Is on top of the stack, and if I call sd dot peak, it's going to return me the value of on the top of the stack, which is 65. If I call pop method, it's going to give me the value of the value, but it's going to remove from the stack value. Any questions on that? Anyone responding? Before I move on to queues. Hello? Anyone listening? No? Okay. Okay, so now we're moving on to queues. Make sure you go to the Java API and read what it does. Try experimenting, and more importantly, go to the tutorial point, such as stack tutorial point. It will give you an example, and it will give you the chance to run. It's very much useful. I sometimes frequently use it. See, right here. You can even try it on the try it. You can compile it online, and it will print for you. Simple as that. The API and the tutorial point or any other website, it will help you. It will help you to understand what it does, what is its structure and function. Okay, now that we're, okay, so any question on stacks before we move on to queues? Okay, we're moving on to queues. Queues is much similar to stack, except it's the same thing, but there is only one thing. The pop method. Instead of removing from the value at the top of the stack, it removes the value at the bottom of the stack. So let me just write this down for you. Stack. Okay. For pop methods. Stack removes the value at top of the stack. Queue, on the other hand, removes the value at bottom of the stack. Sorry, I misspelled bottom. They're basically the same thing, but actually they're almost same, but quite similar. The only difference is that in the queue method, the pop method, it removes only at the bottom, so it should be obvious to you. So let's go to the code for the queue. Okay, look at the mouse what I'm pointing. There are two ways I actually did. Oh, before we move on, I worked very hard on the stack. I was going to show you to you, but well, since you wanted to move on, I'm just going to show you anyway. So basically, hold on. So let's just run this. Okay, it's calling on the random generator. Push 63, top of the stack. It's taking the index. I want to continue? Yes. 93, top of the stack. The index is 1. So it's implementing arrays or array list or linked list. It has index. It keeps track of it. So I want to continue. So far, yes. So we have 63, 93, 23, 42, so on, until I press no. Empty, no. Top of the stack, is 49, right here. 49 is on the top of the stack because it's taking the top value, the top index value. And if I do pop, 49 is no longer on the list, and you have 63, 93, 23, and 42. I'm gonna upload the code, and you should run it for yourself. Oh, when you run, press Y, and it will start, and it will continue on until you press N. Will that be okay for all of you? When I have the chance, I'm probably going to upload it tomorrow, around in the evening. So it should be very much useful. Okay, for queues, it's completely different. Unlike any other stacks, linked list, array list, queue is a complete interface, which means you have to declare queue integer queue list into either array list, linked list, or stack. I never try stack. So basically, what I did is try to declare queue. However, it gives me an error because queue is an interface. It cannot instantiate the type of queue. So I call on a queue object that implements linked list. So what it does is I'm using linked list, and linked list is accessing methods from the queue interface. So it's basically simple. Same thing, I call on the max to declare for a random generator. I call on a for loop and add the number of values. I have iterator 1 and iterator 2. That's because I'm calling on the peak method both at the same, in the between, just to show you. Not much else is shown. So if I run it, oh, right. Sorry, guys. The peak method, on the other hand, why is it not printing? Maybe I did something wrong. Okay. Oh, okay. QList.peak. What did it does again? Retrieve, but does not remove. Oh, that's right. Sorry. I made a mistake on the coding, so let me just fix that. So let's run it. Okay, so like I said, oh, and another thing. Peak, on the other hand, it's the same thing, but peak calls on the first value, the bottom of the stack. I should also inform you that. Sorry, I forgot to tell you this. So when I print the list, this is the list I added. When I call in the peak method, it brings out the value at the bottom of the stack, but it does not remove it. And I call on the list again. So let's assume I do pop or poll. You should look in the API, they have different names, so you should look at carefully. They have the add, not push, so that's important. The name of the method between stacking queues are completely different, and you should not memorize it. You should look it up in the API and some jotted note. Basically, the API for stacks and queues are pretty much short, so it's not difficult. Same thing for queues API. You have add, which is push, element. I think it's the same thing, but they're quite similar. It removes the head of the queue. Element, it tells you the top of the stack. Offers, insert the specific element to the queue if it's possible without violating capacity restriction. Okay, peak does not remove the value. I believe that, oh, the head of this queue is the bottom. Sorry, guys. I don't know, peak and element, they are similar, but I don't know why they make that. Poll removes, which is the pop method, but it actually brings out that bottom level of the stack. And same thing for remove. I don't know why they designed it, because poll and remove, they're basically the same thing. The only difference is that the poll, it returns null if the queue is empty. I don't know why they made it. It was their design. So I just go on the method I just learned from class. So that's what's basically it. So anyway, okay, so if I do QList.poll, which is eliminate the value from the bottom, it's going to give me this, 35 to 86. I call on the peek method 75, and it does not remove the value. I call on the poll method, which it does remove, and gives me the list. So I got 35 to 86. So the only important thing is to know is that for stack or pop methods, for stack, it removes the top of the value. For queue, it removes the bottom of the value of the stack. And for pop or poll, okay, for peek, they have the same name method. It's the same thing for stacking queues, except it does not remove. It just returns the value, but does not remove the value from the list. That is something to remember. Or you can look it up in the Java API. They're very much useful. Also, the tutorials point, they give a good example, and you should try experimenting. Go creative and go crazy. So, any questions before I move on deeper into queues? No? All right then. So I've been running this project called Java file called data structure chapter 3_4a. I'll explain you why I named chapter 3 because I read some book about it. So I'm going to go to chapter 4b. Okay, so listen, this is where I call the queue method, which, let me go back to right here. Okay, queue interface. So basically, you cannot call on the same method like this one. It's an interface, so you call on something else, like linked list. Linked list will implement or inherit methods from the queue interface. The methods from the queue interface. So this is where I called queue that implements linked list. This is like the short version. I'm going to give you a long version of exactly what it does. So here, I created another class called linked queue integer queue list. Before we go through, let's go on. I made an interface called queue. I'm just mimicking what they did. So here, public interface queue any type, generics. Int size, it returns the value of the size. Boolean is empty. Void enqueue, or I can call it push. You know what? I can call it enqueue push. Don't worry, I'll change it back. First is it prints the value out. So you know what? I'm going to leave it first because you're calling the bottom level of it. And any type dequeue, I'm going to call it pop, just to make you understand. So we have these interface. Now let's go to linked queue. Am I going too fast? Please answer. Nope. Okay then. Linked queue. Okay, so I have to change. Okay, let me just change this because I've changed it. Push and pop. Okay, so here, I'm calling on the private linked list any type data into equal new linked list. Simple. So I'm calling on the constructor linked queue. I'm just reorganizing so you can understand what I'm actually doing. So I'm calling on a class linked queue that implements queue, as you already seen. Linked queue any type. So let's just say linked queue integers. So and for queue, if it's integer, if any type is integer, and this means this any type will return as integer. Something like that. So if I type any type to integer, there's an error because I have to change any type generics into integer. So it's very important because once we get to the main class, you'll understand why you need this type of generic. So link queue, private link class, link list, any type, data equal to new link list. You're calling on the constructor. Okay, now you have the insize. It returns the data.size. Data is the link list. You're calling on the method called .size. It returns you how many elements it's going to return to you, or how many elements is on the list. So there's the public boolean is empty. It's going to tell you, it's going to return to you is empty, because the is empty is a linked list method. And you have public void push any type value. So you're calling the data.add method from the linked list onto your linked list. And you have the first. Pretty easy. You just do the get 0. And pop, what it does is data.remove. You're calling on the remove method from the linked list. Remove that value from the list. And this one, I made my own personal. I call on my own print method. What it does, it calls for the iterator data.iterator. It calls on, well, it's the same thing. Iterator.hasNext, it prints out. I did differently. If iterator has next, add a space. If not, it means it's already finished. It's at the end of the list, and I asked to print on the next line. So let's go to here, the main class. So I called on link queue integer. So what this does is going to take this generic and go back to link queue and declare this whole class as integer, because it's going to return integer. Well, you get the idea. So I'm calling on the random number, change enqueue to push, and I'm calling out for pop, so, and I'm calling on the queue list.print. So let's run it. Okay, so, oh, right, sorry. I have to change everything. Push, and then pop, pop, and pop. Basically, it's just got from the textbook. So let's do it again. Push 81 for 63 all the way up to 55. So we have now a list of 81 for 63 up to 55. Is the list empty? No. And to prove it again, now I'm calling on the pop method to remove the value 81 for 63. And if you compare the list between this original to the new list, you notice that 81 for 63, the first 3 elements is removed because you call on the pop method. So this is how queue works. Stack, it calls on the top of the value, and it has the pop and peak. Peak calls on the top value. Pop calls on the top value, but removes it from the list. That is stack. Now for queues, the same method name called peak, it calls on the bottom level of the stack. But for pop, but they call it poll, if you read from the API, it asks to remove the list from the stack from the bottom of it. So there you have it. This is how queue works. Well, there are 3 different types of ADT, abstract data type. One is stack, one is called queues, and another is called deck. Deck, on the other hand, Well, before we move on the list, do we have any other question? Any questions? No? All right then. So I took liberty from this code and added to my class. Okay, this is an array queue. Oh, this, however, this is the member array, and this is a constructor. But I'm not going to go detailed because I'm already calling on the linked list, so there's no point of it. Okay, built in Java. Like I said, our QADT. This is based on from our class, so ignore this. But most importantly, you should look at this. The one I'm highlighting it. It's on the Java API. We have the add, offer, remove, poll, element, peak, size is empty. They have that. Poll, remove, peak, offer. Add, offer, and what did they say? Element, peak. Okay, yeah. Element and peak. They're basically the same thing, but it gives a throw exception and it gives a return special value. I'll let you look it up on your own. You just need to click on this and it'll give you the description. This gives you what you need. No such element exception. Head of a queue or null. So let's look at it carefully. We have element and peak. Element and peak. First element, it's the same thing for peak, but this method differs from peak only that it throws an exception if this queue is empty. If the queue is empty, then you have to throw an exception. You cannot use peak. So basically, what I'm going to show you is if is empty, then you write throw exception before you call on the peak, otherwise it returns an error. However, if you use is empty, you use the method called element. It throws an exception for you. You don't need to do all the work. It's amazing. And hold on, I have a question. Could you upload the docs file in the Dropbox folder once done mentoring? Oh, sure, I'll do that. For this document, I won't, but for the other document, I will. I'll send you this chapter 3. The other document like this one, I can't show you, but I cannot send it to you. Oh, this one is the linked list right here, but I'm not going into details because it's too much. You have the linked list access, so it should be much easier for you guys. Oh, and the here is this. Okay, you know what? I'll modify it and I'll send it to you. This right here is a comparison between array and array list. Length, data type, and performance. Same thing. So before we move on, is there any question? There's one more. We have stack, queues, and there's another one called deck. They're much similar to stacking queues. The only difference, well, actually, there are no difference. Deck is like a combination of stack and queues. It can only access both ends of the structure. In other words, it can access the bottom of the stack and the top of the stack, either insert or remove, and peak. So you can add elements on the bottom of the stack or add elements on the top of the stack. You can remove the value from the bottom of the stack, or you can remove from the top of the stack. You can access but do not remove the values from the bottom of the stack, and same thing can be applied from the top of the stack. That's deck. It's pretty simple and easy. But you have to do some coding because, like deck, I think it's in the deck is a maybe an interface. Let me look. This is how deck spells like Java API. Let me look at stack. Stack is different from queues because it's not an interface. Oh, because stack is a class that implements list. Queue, on the other hand, is not a class, but rather it's an interface. The only difference is that stack is class, queue is interface. You cannot call on or instantiate object of queues. Now for deck. Deck is the same thing. It's an interface. Much like the code I have for queue, you can also call deck. The same thing. You can do the same thing, or you can do the long way, like I did, where I have the queue interface, I have the link queue that implements queue, and I have a main class that calls on the object link queue. You can do either way, but you cannot declare queue or deck queue as an instantiate object. Are there any other questions? Any other question? Nope. Well, we end at 10:30, but, well, I'm done. But however, I can go over Code Lab. Anyone want to go over Code Lab? Most importantly, you should look up for array list, linked list, stack, queues, and decks on YouTube or any other website. You should look it up and do some research. Right now, everything I have in what I wrote, I'll send it to you tomorrow. I'll send it in the Dropbox by tomorrow in the evening. And try looking up in the Dropbox mentoring. There should be links on it. I checked today and there was a link from YouTube. I think they upload this on YouTube. So check that out. That's important. All right, anyone else? Thanks a lot for this. You're very knowledgeable and from the subject of data structure. Okay, thanks. I learned it from data structure class. You can thank my professor. Here's anyone from Queens College? I have a professor named the Tech. Professor J. Svittek. That's the professor I had in the data structure class. He is, but he can be very strict, very strict. But he can give a cumulative grade. As long as you do the work, you'll be on his good side. In his class. Oh, that because of the exam or something? Maybe is it the exam or the assignment? Exam, which one? Maybe the first or second? I know 70% failed the exam. Well, for me, I haven't failed the exam, and I studied really hard. Although his class is difficult, I managed to. We took him, and he at first started teaching. I'm taking in the summer, and I'm taking that course very seriously. I just write down the notes. That's it. And I had to go over everything, and we took 1.5 years ago. Oh, okay. Yeah, I could see. You learned a lot. You did good, man. All right. Okay. So we have some time on our hand. Anyone do the code lab? I can help you with code labbing. Anyone want to do code lab? Anyone else? Please respond on the chat box. Anyone else? Okay, before I end this session, let's just take a little review. You know how to do array list and linked list. You can access the method from the Java API as long as you know how to do it well. For stacks, there are methods you have to access. We have the stack class, but there's an interface for queues and dequeues which you cannot instantiate, but you can implement from other lists like linked list or array list. But you cannot code list because list is also an interface. So let me write this down. Cancel everything. Stacks. Let me just zoom in. Shoot. Okay, stacks. Stack. It is a class in which you can access its method. Q and deck. Don't call it DQ because it's called deck. It is a interface. It is interface in which you must implement on other reference object, such as lists, either array, list, linked list, well, actually array list or linked list. I don't know if there's any other means, to be honest. Linked list. Okay. Comment is empty method. It has that. Okay, let me go back to my notes. It has the add remove element. You know what? Let's call it push, and you know what? Let's call it push method because it's much. Actually, I got it from the stack. Push any type E inserts the element to the top of the class. Oh, and make sure for the comment is for stack and queues only. Deck, on the other hand, can add both bottom and top of the stack. That's something you need to know. Deck you have the add first, and add last. We have the add first and add last methods. They have that. Push method. Okay, let me go back to my notes and let's go back to stack. Okay, it has the in size, which they do have in comparison. Size returns the number of elements. Okay then, returns the number of elements. Same thing for add first and add last. Adds the bottom of the stack or list stack of this list, or I'm giving you all of it. Add last. Add the top of the stack or back of the list. Size returns the number of elements. Check. Void push, got that. Okay, is empty. That's something I need to know. Yeah, they have everything here. You just need to look up. Yeah, they have the is empty. Okay. Yeah, they do have the is empty. Okay, we got some people leaving. All right, I think they're done with it. Okay, then we have the pop method. Oh, that's the difference. Difference. Stack and queue only. Pop. Okay, pop on stack removes the last element of the list top of the stack elements. Okay, for pop. Okay, they have a stack class has a method called pop, but for queue it's an interface, so you can implement and name something else. Or I don't know how it works. Or just make sure you just look at the API, it'll help you. All right. So pop on the stack removes the first element of the list, bottom of the stack element. Stack list element. Okay, that's done. What else? Hold on. Okay, at first, at last. Pop. I'm gonna put remove or just look up the API. It's much more efficient. I'm just taking down my own version. Okay, top. Okay, let's see. Okay, there's another method called peak. That's the last one. Moving. Stop moving. Only. Okay, then we got peak. At first, at last. Okay, first returns first element of the list, bottom of the stack. Last returns the last element of the list, top of the stack. Remove first. So let me just do this easy. Remove first, remove last, removes the first element of the list, and down, so on. Removes the last element of the list. Okay, for the remove method, it returns you, but it removes from the list, just to know, all right? Okay, so we have so far gone on the list. So I'm just telling you the ADT list. So let me put it right here. Centered bulk list ADT. Abstract data type. Okay, now that's saved. I think I'm gonna upload this note tonight and maybe other times in the evening. Sounds cool? All right then. Hold on. Okay. Sorry guys, it's just my parents. Hold on. Sorry guys. Anytime. Last. Okay. So that's about it. I might probably upload this as well. Okay, anything else before we end the session? Anyone else? Who do we have? The attendance. Anyone else? Hello? No, thanks. Thanks a lot once again. Oh, Emma. All right. So how do I exit out the session? Do I just close it? Because I've never done this before. I can do it. Okay, how? Oh, really? Can you show me? Or just instruct me? Hold on, should I unmute you? Hold on, let me just unmute you. Okay, you're unmuted.
Yeah, so can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I think I pressed recording, so I don't know what should I do. If I click in the session, I think I will be able to convert it. Like, do you know how to
Hold
do
on.
it?
I don't know. Should I make you a next presenter and you maybe can figure out how to log out?
All right, no problem.
Oh, make presenter. Okay.
All right, so.
All right, right now I'm gonna upload the notes.
All right, so I'm gonna close it. So.
8:15.
Okay, I'm gonna end this session, right? Okay, I'm going to end this session.
Yeah.
In training for all, legal training for all.
Oh my god. How do I start?
Are you sure? Yes.